Hey, what's up, y'all? It's cracking. It's D. About to react to this vid. This is top 10 reveals in the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes. This is the last Jeffrey Dahmer video that I'm going to watch. I'm over it, and y'all have been requesting a lot of these Jeffrey-related videos, and I just don't want to watch it anymore after this. So this will be the last Jeffrey Dahmer-related video. I'm over it. He did. I don't think we need to keep talking about this, but sure. Let's see how this goes, though. Let's watch.
There's no person I've ever known of that was as lonely a human being as Jeffrey Dahmer.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 reveals in Conversations with a Killer, the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes.
Dahmer had a rare opportunity.
Okay, I didn't know. They have a Alright, y'all obsessed with this nigga at this point. I thought they were saying the reveals in the tapes. The tapes that they recorded from when they were interviewing this nigga. Or something like that. But they're referring to an actual...
For this list, we're looking at the most interesting and surprising revelations from Netflix's latest Dahmer docuseries. What reveal shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments.
They're showing real footage.
Number 10. Jeffrey Dahmer was Wendy Patricus's first job. Conversations with a Killer, the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes, features previously unreleased audio recordings with hours of Dahmer speaking with one of his attorneys, Wendy Patricus.
I was a young lawyer at the time.
Oh.
It was in my 20s.
You know what she was doing.
I just moved to Milwaukee, and a woman living alone, and I didn't know a lot of people.
The 20-something lawyer first met her client after his arrest in July 1991 at the request of his lead defense attorney, Gerald Boyle. Unbelievably, this was the young lawyer's first case.
There was Jeff sitting in the corner of the table. I was incredibly nervous. Because
why would they? They was just like, hey, whatever. Anyway, he going to jail for life. Take this shit. This is such a crazy, complex case. Like, why would they give it to this chick and she ain't never took no other cases before?
And I felt was way over my head.
Patrick is a lot to ask of any seasoned professional, let alone a rookie.
I received death threats from a number of different sources. There was really only one time that I felt like some of the threats became real.
Number 9. Dahmer's first 2 murders were Twomey. Dahmer convinced his fellow bar patron to accompany him to Milwaukee's Ambassador Hotel, where Dahmer became blackout drunk.
I remember this part.
Yeah.
And he didn't remember how he killed him?
No, not until I woke up in the morning. Couldn't believe it.
When he woke up, Twomey was dead and visibly beaten. Dahmer didn't remember harming the young man, but evidence said otherwise. He disposed of Twomey similarly to Hicks, but this time, he kept some of the remains.
The Twomey.
He like, I didn't mean it.
Number 7. Professionals didn't agree on Dahmer's sanity. In January 1992, Jeffrey Dahmer pleaded guilty, but insane.
We're trying to win an insanity defense. This was where he lost control. We're trying to show that, he didn't have that rational thought anymore.
Since he had already confessed, an insanity defense was the way his team of attorneys decided to go. But was Dahmer insane? A number of expert witnesses spoke on behalf of the prosecution, the defense, and independently for the court.
That was a bizarre delusion that he thought that he could take the skulls and the bones of victims and create a power center in which he would be able to get special powers.
And though the doctors had similar findings on other aspects of Dahmer, they did not agree on whether he was sane while committing the murders or not. Dr. Fred Berlin, for the defense, evaluated Dahmer and diagnosed him with necrophilia and believed he was in fact insane. However, Dr. Park Dietz, for the prosecution, believed him to be sane based on his tactics for disposal and covering his tracks.
He took steps for every single one of the charged homicides to make sure that he wouldn't get caught.
Number 6. The wrong suspect. In the docuseries, Jeff Connor recalls the last night he saw his friend Anthony Tony Sears, later testified at Dahmer's trial. Sadly, he still feels some guilt about his friend's tragic death.
I wish I could take it all back and make the evening end a different way.
Number 5. Dr. Norman Goldfarb's recommendation. One of the most upsetting things about the Jeffrey Dahmer case is that he could have been caught on several occasions. After his arrest in 1988, he spoke to psychologist Dr. Norman Goldfarb.
While he was awaiting sentencing, I said, well, I would just do a brief evaluation to get a sense of the status of what we were working with.
In his evaluation, Dr. Goldfarb stated that he was likely to re-offend. However, the judge disregarded the doctor's warning and gave Dahmer a rather lenient sentence.
Wow. The judge, in the end, again...
In January 1989, he was convicted of enticing a child for immoral purposes and second-degree sexual assault. But it wasn't until May that he was sentenced to 5 years probation. He also... Number 4. Connection to John Wayne Gacy. While John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer never met, the two serial killers knew of each other since their crimes were constantly being compared in the media.
What do I think of Jeffrey Dahmer? I don't know the man personally, but I'll tell you this. That's a good example as to why insanity does belong in a courtroom. Because if Jeffrey Dahmer doesn't meet the requirements for insanity, then I'd hate like hell to run into the guy that does.
However, they did have one strange connection. In the docuseries, Minister Roy Ratcliffe recounts when he baptized Dahmer on May 10th, 1994. That same day, over in Illinois, Gacy, who was convicted of killing over 33 young men, was executed by lethal injection.
On the day of his baptism, John Wayne Gacy was executed that same day.
Whether there's some mystical reason why these two things happened on the day of a partial solar eclipse has never been explained.
Some try to read into that, well, there's some kind of a mystical meaning behind all this.
Number 3, Dahmer's relationship with Tony Hughes. While the majority of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims only knew him for a short time, Tony Hughes reportedly had a longer relationship with him prior to his death in May 1991.
Tony and Jeff had relations. Tony told me so.
A former friend of Hughes, Michael Ross, confirms their history in the docuseries. An entire episode of Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story is dedicated to Hughes, who was deaf and had a speech impairment, including his time spent with Dahmer.
You deaf?
Dahmer asked to be moved to general population. When Jeffrey Dahmer began serving his multiple consecutive life sentences at Columbia Correctional Institution, he was put into a solitary cell to protect him from other prisoners.
So he was placed in a single cell, not in a bullpen.
He told me, what do I have to look forward to?
After a year, Dahmer requested to be put into the general population among fellow inmates. Patrick has tried to persuade him to stay in solitary, but he told her he needed some, quote, mental stimulation.
He just said, please don't do this. You're not gonna make it.
Going into Gen Pop effectively put him at risk, and one day, an inmate did attack him in the neck with a razor. He survived that incident, but would later succumb to head trauma caused by Christopher Scarver in November 1994.
He took the barbell from the exercise room and bludgeoned Dahmer over the head with that weapon.
The information I received from the prison was he did not resist the attack.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
No.
Number 1. He tried to resist his compulsions for years. At one point, he stole a store mannequin as a replacement for a human companion.
A faceless mannequin from a department store didn't cut it for him.
Check out these other clips from Watch Mojo. And...
What the fuck is they doing? I gotta get out of here. I'm ready to move. So because somebody tried to holler at him at the library, it's like, oh, I could be gay again. And oh, now I can start killing people. Like, that's odd, but sure. I'm over this man. He gone. He out of here. Very sick story, but, it is what it is. There are many, many, many serial killers that have passed, who have killed people in the past. And there are many who will continue to kill, which is unfortunate. But we can't stay stuck on this nigga forever. Let's let it go. Anyway, let me know what y'all thought. Let me know what other videos I'm going to watch, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!